Hi, I hope today finds you well. My name is Ethel Olson and I teach piano and music theory here at Darlington Arts Center. Near the end of the summer, I attended a virtual retreat for teaching artists that was several weeks long, and one of the things we explored in great depth was taking issues of the day to use in your art. So around the beginning of September, I began a project that I called Piano Music in the Time of Pandemic. And I went back to 1918 to see if any composers had written anything responding to the so-called Spanish flu pandemic. And so at first I only found that concerts were being canceled. And then I read that the composer Igor Stravinsky had caught the disease, but he recovered. And afterward, because the larger orchestral works he wrote for ballets were not being performed, he began to write pieces for smaller ensembles that were touring. Then I came across a reference to two composers who had not survived and recovered from the pandemic: Charles Tomlinson Griffiths, who's an American Impressionist composer, and Antonio Fregoso. I had never heard of Fregoso, so I went in search of his music and some information about him. And he was born in 1897 in a small town in Portugal. He studied with two of his uncles and then got accepted at the Lisbon Conservatory at the age of 17. In 1918, in June, he turned 21. In July, he passed his final piano exam with a perfect score of 20. And then he went home to his town to take a summer break. In October, he was due to relocate to Paris, where he was going to be studying composition with Vincent d'Indy. However, just before he was ready to leave, the pandemic arrived in his town, and he and several of his family members got the disease and did not survive. His music is not known very much outside of Portugal, and people who do know his music and play it think that it's really a shame he only lived to be 21. But there is quite a bit of music available for piano for a composer that was quite young, and it's very high quality music. It reflects the influences of Chopin, Debussy, Ravel, Satie, and Rachmaninoff. For example, in his prelude in Petite Suite, his left hand has ever-changing chords like the Chopin prelude in E minor, but he sets this stunning melody above it that sounds like it could come from a Satie Nazienne. The three pieces that I'm going to play for you today are from a set that he called 18th century pieces. There's an aria, a minuet, and a gavotte. The aria has a lovely melody over chords that sometimes sound surprising until you realize the bottom notes of the chord are just setting up a scale pattern going up and down at different speeds. The minuetto sounds a lot like Ravel's minuets, only shorter, and you don't need as large a hand. The main challenge in this minuet is the floating thirds in the left hand, which require careful fingering. In the gavotte, we have a graceful dance that ends the set in a major key. I hope you enjoy this introduction to the music of Antonio Fregoso, and I hope that you will seek out his nocturnes, mazurkas, and preludes, as well as his sonata, Petite Suite, popular dance, and Portuguese song and dance. Thank you for listening today.